Welcome to Johnny and Tess. Firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us. Johnny, you wrote an article up the Duff and how we're going to report it. It's really interesting and just want to talk a little bit about that today. And also we've got some other questions for you. But Johnny, please let everyone know what you do at Gilligan Shepherd.
Right. What I do at Gilligan Shepherd, first of all, I'm an accountant and I pretty much look after the accounting needs for a lot of our clients, the day-to-day and also the annual compliance work. And yeah.
Good on you. And Tess, what area of law are you working in?
So I'm a senior associate at Langton Hudson Butcher and I work in employment law.
Okay. So having an addition to your family is very exciting. It can also be a bit daunting with lots of decisions to be made. So what has been the biggest excitement for you two so far?
Right. Probably the weekly updates of we've got this app which tells us the size of the baby week on week. so every Thursday is when we clock in and then have a check on what on the side, and yeah, it's been good to sort of monitor the growth as we draw near to the big day. Tiff?
I think probably the best thing so far is being able to feel and start moving from time to time. That's been exciting, makes it all feel a bit real, and then just gradually getting prepared and buying things we need. Yeah, all of that.
Great.
Not the budgeting. The budgeting hasn't been so far.
No, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So have you decided how you're going to divide up your parental leave when the baby arrives?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
So we've got a mortgage. So at this point, it's looking like I'll take 4 months of the paid parental leave, and then Johnny will take the last 4 weeks of it. And we won't be doing any extended leave, but I'll be going back part time.
Okay. When you're back at work, do you think having a baby in childcare is going to be a shared responsibility?
Better be.
Yeah, well, childcare is definitely not cheap. Just looking at the budget.
Yeah.
So that's something that we've had to consider. I guess the good thing about us, or for me in particular, is I've got my family support. So my mom can sort of fly to Fiji and stay for a few months. Just so what we, I guess, get back on our feet, getting some normalcy once the boys here.
Okay. And how do you think this is going to affect your careers?
For me, I don't think it'll have a negative impact at all. My employer's been very supportive, including on the basis that I'll return part-time for at least a while we get used to things. Yeah, I think it's going to be good for me, if anything.
Certainly, I don't see any change. I can still keep up my personal commitments with the boys and all stuff. That's what I like to think. And but also my employers, they've been quite supportive, and yeah, I don't see sort of anything changing apart from the lack of sleep. But months.
Okay, fair enough. And Tess, what items have you bought so far for the baby?
So far, and actually it was Johnny who sorted it out. He tends to be the one to do these things. We've got a cot, a big one, and we've got a change table, and quite a lot of clothes.
Yeah.
Next thing on the list, though, is to sort out what I think they call a capsule to travel around with, and car seat and all that kind of jazz. So we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Yeah, we definitely got a few more things to go, but again, it's about balancing that with the budget.
Right. Okay. So now that we're talking about the budget, so for your article, you talked about the importance of budgeting. What has been the most challenging part of this so far?
I guess the most challenging thing would probably be actually sitting down and doing a budget. It's good when you've got an Apple card, you just stand away and you don't really see the impact of things until you come up to that last stretch before you payday, and then you'll think, well, I wish I had probably thought twice about my spending.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing to do is just sit down and just tackling it, and then having the open conversation with your partner on where things are at and what you need to do and what you need to spend and save in order to prepare for in addition to the family, I guess.
Yeah.
And,
I think probably understanding what your non-negotiable outgoings are. For us, ours has been our mortgage. That's been the biggest one to try and keep track of, and then eliminating other things so that we can make sure we can keep that going while we're off work.
I'm a big fan of coffee, so that coffee card just went straight away.
Coffee and muffins.
And muffins. So that's had to go. And yeah, so it's just been a bit of a give and take, negotiating on what you can keep and what you can certainly do without for this short amount of time, I guess.
Okay, and so I know that a few of the banks have some apps within your bank. They sometimes get those to help you with budgeting. What are you using for budgeting? Have you just got a spreadsheet? So how is it for someone that's not an accountant? How easy is it for them to think about budgeting, or how do they go about it in the start?
Okay, so there's definitely apps available from the various financial providers, but we just went old school. We just sat down, opened up Excel, opened up our bank statements, and then we just crunched the numbers, pretty much just putting through income and how much we were spending, because that, from looking at that gives us an idea of our spending trends, which is a lot more towards the wants and the needs. And just, so we were quite surprised, like our shopping bill was food was, we thought it was quite cheap, but when you take into account the small spending that you do for coffees, eating out, and it just blew my mind how much we actually spent on food. So certainly.
We also, Johnny, not me, color coded our spending in our statements.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did it, but that was actually quite interesting because all of the red was, for example, food that we didn't need to buy during the day. So we had entertainment. So actually being able to see it color coded and then in a graph was helpful and alarming at the same time.
And the color coding was also red being not great.
There was lots of red to start with.
But just and I guess with the budgeting, you sort of just take into account your non-negotiables and pretty much trying to see how much is coming in and whether you've got enough at the end of the day to survive with an extra person. And also putting some aside, because again, something we'll talk about later on, once paid parental leave kicks in, there's certainly a drop in the income stream that you usually expect if both parties were working.
Sorry, I was going to add, if you're taking any extended leave, which is unpaid, then you need to have a plan for how you're going to survive during that time as well. Yeah.
And probably one more thing to add was just making sure that you're planning for the worst case scenario rather than the best case scenario. So that's probably my only other advice I would probably say.
Okay, so making sure you've got some money set aside in case you need it. What about date nights? I presume that when baby comes along, you're still going to try and have some time to yourselves or some time as a family. How do you think that's going to work on a budget when you are used to going out and spending money like we all do on date nights? It's movies and drinks and dinner. How do you think that would work in a budget?
Well, one of the advice that I've been given was to just enjoy the process and enjoy the process. And that was because at the start, as soon as we run the budget, I was straight, no more spending, we're not going out, we're buying pens, we're buying home brand everything. But then obviously that the output of that was reflected in just the moods and whatnot. So that's where the thing comes in. You have to enjoy the process. You have to have fun, because if you don't have fun, then you won't enjoy the journey which you're on. And it's only for a short period of time. So we definitely still do date night, not as often and not as much. And we use something called an entertainment book, which is great. Gives us discounts. I'm just a bargain hunter with discount. If I can get something for free, I'm all in.
And to be fair, in Auckland, there's actually quite a lot of stuff out there for free, or there's actually like quite a lot of parks, and you can just be a bit more inventive, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so Keith, can you summarise for us how an employee applies for parental leave from their employer, and how an employer needs to respond?
So this is all covered in the Parental Leave and Employment Protection Act. But you don't need to look at the act yourself. You can go to the government website. It's www.nb.govt.nz, and that summarises what you need to do if you're an employee and what you need to do if you're an employer. But basically, an employee needs to put in an application for parental leave. If it's a baby that you're having yourself, then that needs to be done 3 months before the due date. If you're becoming a primary carer of a baby or a child under the age of 6 who isn't your own, so you're not going to be birthed, maybe you're adopting, maybe it's a whāngai arrangement, you only need to give 14 days notice. Once you give your notice in, there's a whole lot of information you've got to provide. You've got to make sure that it includes a certificate from your doctor or your midwife confirming that you are having a baby or becoming a primary carer. And you give all of that to your employer, either the 3 months or the 14 days out. Then your employer's got 21 days to respond to that, confirming whether you're actually entitled to parental leave. So you need to have worked for a certain amount of time, 6 months or 12 months, depending on what you're applying for, in order to get the parental leave. There's also something called negotiated carer leave if you don't meet those entitlements. That's probably a bit too much to go into now. So you get all that in, your employer comes back to you within 21 days and tells you whether you're entitled to the leave you want. And they may also need more information. So if you didn't supply everything first time round, then you might need to give a bit more. The employer also has to confirm at that point whether or not they can hold your role open for you during your parental leave.
Okay, so that then asks the question, does the employer need to hold the job open? How can they not hold it open? I thought they had to, but obviously there's a grey area in there somewhere.
There is a grey area.
Okay.
The basic position is that an employer does need to hold the job open for the employee. There's a couple of carve-outs. One is if there's a genuine redundancy situation. So if the employer realises that actually I don't need Tessa's role or Johnny's role at all, work through a process about that. Always got to make sure there's a fair process in place. But if there is a genuine redundancy situation, then you may not be able to keep your role, or the employer may not need to keep it open. The only other carve-out is if you hold a key position in the organisation, and it's going to be really hard for the employer to temporarily fill that while you're absent. That's a really high threshold. There's some cases on it. It's definitely not easy for an employer to show that a position is a key position, because the presumption is that they'll look after your role while you're on parental leave. But that is possible. And for employers out there, if you think that might be you, go and take some advice before you do it.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And we're back to Johnny. What do you think the recent changes to government family benefits mean for your budget?
Well, for us in particular, I think that probably applies to us would be the best up credit. So that works out to be about 60. It's covered you from 1 to 3. It stops when you reach 3 years of age. And for the first year, there's no income tested, so everyone can get it. And essentially, you get $60 a week.
I think after your parental leave payments finish.
Right. Yes, and I guess the important thing with that is once your paid parental leave stops, best up tax credit sort of kicks in. And for the first year, you can pretty much get this, the full payment, which works up to be $60 as mentioned. But then when you come to your second and third year, it decreases by 21 cents. I think there's a threshold of about 79,000. So every dollar you earn more than that, you earn essentially 21 it reduces by 21 cents. I think as soon as you hit, I think it's about $98,000, you pretty much don't get anything because it reduces right down to nil. So yeah, that's been something that we've sort of kept in the back of our mind. Having extra cash is good. Any help is great, and especially once Tess does go back to work, she'll be working part time. So any cash that we do get, we totally appreciate it.
The other thing was that recently the government's increased the duration of the parental leave payments. It was 18 weeks. It's now 22, and it's going to be going to 26, I believe, from next year. So that extra month makes a huge difference for us and for how long we can take off and look after baby.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you have any further comments or suggestions for the viewers out there? I haven't had any questions come through. This is a live feed, and there is the opportunity to send questions in if you've got any for Johnny and Tess. After we finish this live feed today, we will actually just be putting the YouTube video up on our website, which is gilliganshepard.co.nz. But yeah, just finish off with any further comments or suggestions.
There's a lot of information up there. For example, the website you mentioned, the RD's got information, and also and if you're unsure what to do, just Google will provide you an answer or a link to a website that will answer your question that you do that. And yeah, anything else? Form filling, how's that form filling going?
The form filling is currently sitting with me. I'm just confirming exactly what date we're going to be heading off on parental leave. It'll be in December, early December, and then it'll be coming to you for finalisation.
Right. The last thing we don't want to do is not having filled the form, come to the date of birth, and we got no funds because the budget will not be happy.
No. Well, obviously, we wish you all the best. And like you said earlier, congratulations. And we'll obviously be watching and waiting for photos and anything else that we get. And we'll be missing Johnny when he's away from work. But obviously, we'll be happy knowing that he's at home with baby and looking after you as well, I hope.
I hope so too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.